first with breaking news. Fox 5 News starts now.
A West Valley home is raided by police. It is in connection to the death of newspaper veteran journalist Jeff Gehrman. We link the address of the home to Rob Tellis, a Clark County public administrator.
The search warrant was served in Piccoli Ranch near Charleston and Apple. Gehrman's body was found on Saturday morning near Vegas Drive and Tenaya Way. Metro Police believe the deadly stabbing took place on Friday because it happened on the side of the home.
And we have team coverage for you this afternoon. Fox 5's Maddie White is outside of the public administrator's office, which is now closed down.
But first, we turn to Fox 5's Joe Vigil live outside Rob Tellis' home. And Joe, you've been there since early this morning when police moved in. What's developing there now?
Yeah, well, guys, first of all, police are now long gone and the roads have since reopened. And this afternoon, public administrator Robert Tellis arrived home right behind me. A car dropped him off and he walked into his garage without saying anything. He then closed the garage door. This after police spent hours searching his home. Well, people at Desert Hills and Spanish Steps woke up to a swarm of police around the home of public administrator Robert Tellis. Officers blocked off all the ways in, and those who live here had to talk to police to get in and out. Stunning for many in what's described as a quiet neighborhood.
Very quiet, very awesome neighborhood. You know, the school's right around the corner. There's no issues here.
Around 1 p.m., we saw police tow 2 cars. One, this little BMW outside Tellis' home, and then this SUV. It matched the description of the one police released to the public after the killing of journalist Jeff Gehrman. Neighbor Luis Fuller knows Administrator Tellis and his family. He says they've lived here for several years and occasionally talk. We asked him what he thinks about everything happening across the street from his house and police connecting Tellis to the stabbing death.
I don't know. I mean, he was always nice to us. I can't say one way or another. I mean, we had no issues with him.
What kind of guy is he as far as how you know him?
He's a calm guy, and he's respectful, and always says hi. And nothing different than any other neighbor that we have.
And no word from police at this point what was located inside. And of course, Fox 5 will stay on the scene and provide you any new details. Reporting live off Desert Hills and Spanish Steps, Joe Vigil, Fox 5 News Local, Las Vegas.
There looks to be some significant developments happening now at the home of Clark County Public Administrator Rob Tellis.
A warrant was served in connection to the homicide investigation of local newspaper journalist Jeff Gehrman. There is a lot going on right now, so let's get straight out to Fox 5's Joe Vigil.
Yeah, major change here. So in the last 15 minutes, police basically swarmed this neighborhood once again. They actually left a while ago, but have now returned. This is one area you can't get down. This looks just like this morning when we arrived. Everything was blocked off. If we go over here, you can see the same thing. They've got the tape up once again, a police car here again. I mean, this all just happened in the last 5 or 10 minutes or so. And then if we look down here near where his house is, you can see there are officers there as well. I mean, 4 or 5 officers just swarmed this area in just the last 10 minutes or so, and you can see they're putting up the tape, and we're kind of getting in the middle of that at this point. So here's what we know. So we were out here just basically waiting to see what was happening. Police had left. Robert Tellis had arrived home this afternoon, went into his garage, didn't say anything, shut the door, and then all of a sudden an officer showed up, a lone officer, walked up to the home, knocked on the door, identified himself as a sorry, they're pushing me out here because we have to get back. Excuse me, sir. Can you tell us why we're being moved back? Is there a safety issue? Or?
Yeah, we're just expanding it. So
Okay.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, so sorry guys, they just want us to move over here, so we're just going to comply and go outside the tape here. So again, a lone officer shows up, walks up to the house, knocks on the door, identifies himself as a Metro Police officer. No one answers. He sits there for a while. Again, no answer. So he comes back out to a squad car, sits in the squad car, and then just a short time after that, he comes out and he says, we're going to move everybody back. All the media has to move back down the block. I asked him why they were doing that, if there was any kind of safety issue, and he wouldn't say. So there is definitely something happening right now, and we're just going to sit here and see what it is. And by the way, we should tell you that there are no charges at this point filed that we know of But again, I mean, this was just super quick, super fast, and you can see maybe across the street, other media folks are being pushed back as well. They put up more crime tape. So this looks exactly like it did this morning when they served the search warrant. Police were gone, and now they have returned in force, guys.
And Joe, we know that Rob Tellis is at the home. You saw him walk in, so we believe that he is currently inside at this point. That's correct?
That's what we believe. I saw him walk in the garage door. Again, he didn't say anything. He kind of casually strolled inside wearing kind of a white, almost hazmat-looking suit. Didn't say anything, and that's pretty much the last we heard of him. Did he leave out the back door? Did he go somewhere else? We didn't see. We don't know. But our understanding is that he's probably still in there. But again, when the police officer knocked on the door and sat there for a couple minutes, nobody answered.
I just want to take a moment here to recap the relationship between Rob Tellis and Jeff Gehrman, the LVRJ reporter who was found murdered on Saturday. Again, Tellis on his Twitter page was highly critical of Gehrman for a number of articles looking into his behavior as public administrator, and he lost his primary election recently in the primary. So there was definitely a relationship between these two men. Now, as Joe mentioned, there hasn't been an arrest made yet, but of course there has been a lot of police activity at this house beginning this morning and then again this afternoon right now. And lending to this complexity of this issue is that Tellis has a family too. He has a wife and some young children. We don't know their whereabouts now, but that adds to the complexity of any kind of, if they want to approach Tellis in any way, they have to do it very delicately, obviously.
And as we mentioned, he is an attorney, so certainly I'm sure that he knows his rights as the search warrant is being performed at his home as it was earlier today. And now police appear to be back in the neighborhood for some reason. At this point, we're not sure exactly why. Joe, any more information on that? Anything that you can see at this point?
Well, it did kind of seem odd that only one officer initially walked up to the door. Just one officer parked his car right in front, casually strolled up there. Then he told us actually to get back because, of course, the media started rolling on this and told everybody to go across the street. And then he walked up to the door, knocked on the door, identified himself as a Metro police officer, and then kind of almost kind of took shelter or hid behind a pillar that was out front of the door. Again, sat there for a while and then walked back to his car. So this is all, again, if you're just tuning in right now, this just happened within the last 15 minutes or so. Again, this officer served a search warrant this morning, searching the home. They towed a couple cars, and now they were back here after leaving. I mean, there was nobody out here. They reopened the roads. Everything seemed fine, if you will. And then all of a sudden, officers just pounced on this neighborhood again. And just before, I did look at the other end of the block, and that looks like it is blocked off as well. So just like this morning, all of the entrances are now blocked off. Hey, Eric, if you can swing over here, I just want to kind of give them a feel. So this is just down the other behind the block. And you can see there's a police car here with some more tape up, so you can't get through there either. So I think that's 1, 2, 3, I think at least 4 ways into this neighborhood. They basically blocked off like they did this morning. And then if we go back over here, we were standing in the middle of this tape here, and that's when the officer told us to move back, so we did. But again, we're just going to sit and watch and wait. But this happened very fast. A number of officers have pounced on the scene after leaving, being completely gone. For now, guys, we're live at Desert Hills and Spanish Steps.
We can't overplay that just how dramatic this investigation has taken a turn now. Just yesterday, police were presenting video of this person wearing a straw hat and an orange outfit. They said that was the person casing homes in the neighborhood and that this was an isolated incident. Now, all of a sudden, police are focused, it's seemingly laser focused on the Clark County public administrator. I guess my question would be, what has changed in the last 24 hours that changed the focus of their investigation from seemingly a burglary suspect to now a public official in Clark County?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, we have the same questions as well. Let me elaborate just a little bit. As we were out here today, again, we have an officer coming to the door, knocking on the door, wanting to talk to Robert Tellis, public administrator. No answer on the door. But what was interesting is when he drove up, there was nobody here. There are no police officers here. It was just the media, and some residents would come out of their home every now and again and see what was happening. So he was driven up by someone in a white car. He got out of the car, He walked into the garage and they left. I don't know who was driving him. But again, if they wanted to talk to him, if they want to talk to him now this badly, we're not really sure why there wasn't anybody here when he came home. Did they know he was coming home? Did they know where he was? Had they already talked to him? Those are questions we just don't know right now, but certainly very intriguing, and we all want to know those answers.
We should stress that they did tow away an SUV that seemingly matched the description of the SUV they were looking for yesterday. So
that vehicle, a dark Yukon.
And I also want to add, guys, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Joe.
Pardon me. I just want to make sure that we haven't heard of any charges at this point, by the way. That's one thing we haven't heard all day. But obviously, they certainly want to talk to him now, and they have many officers out here wanting to speak with him. But again, they knocked on the door a few times, and that officer was there for a couple minutes, left, and no answer, and no sign so far of Public Administrator Rob Tellis, guys.
And we did reach out to Metro Police. Why the expanded scene? If they have perhaps a new search warrant to lead them to search for more evidence. Keep in mind that sometimes law enforcement needs different warrants to obtain different pieces of evidence. And we are waiting to hear from Metro Police on what they want now, what they want at this crime scene within the home of Mr. Tellis, and also what they are looking for.
Yeah, and he was in there for a while before police showed up. So whatever they had taken or whatever they had looked through, they, at that point, obviously, were through with what they were searching for. And then what happened when he went inside, of course, we don't know, and we're just waiting to find out. But again, if just tuning in, just kind of a bizarre set of events that Robert Tellis, Public Administrator, came home today. Someone dropped him off. He walks in his garage door, doesn't say anything, shuts the garage door, and that's the last we hear of him. Nobody here except for the media, and then an officer shows up, wants to talk to him, no response, and then all of a sudden we go from 0 to 100 miles per hour in just a few minutes, and now we're all blocked off again, exactly like we were this morning when they were serving the search warrant.
And just to detail the relationship between Tellis and the RJ, Gehrman's reporting on Tellis began in mid-May. He lost his primary race to another Democrat, and then the RJ reported just this morning that Gehrman was working on another story on Tellis the week that he was killed. His body was found Saturday. Police think he was murdered on Friday. So certainly there's twists and turns in this, and again, as Joe mentioned, no charges have been filed, but clearly Metro has taken a deep interest in this neighborhood and in that house this afternoon. Our team coverage continues now. We want to take a closer look at the victim in all of this, Review Journal reporter Jeff Gehrman.
The 69-year-old's work had spanned 4 decades in Las Vegas. Most recently, the journalist had turned his attention to the Clark County administrator, Robert Tellis himself. Fox 5's Maddie White is live outside the public administrator's office with that side of the story.
Yeah, this is the Clark County Coroner's Office where Gehrman's body was brought and examined. His death ruled a homicide by stabbing. Now, ironically, just steps away is the office where Tellis works, the public administrator's office. Police spent the day investigating Tellis. Police learning that Tellis wasn't happy with several reports that came out focusing on this office that Gehrman wrote.
Jeff was a tenacious reporter.
A journalist's job is to expose the truth. And before being stabbed and killed Friday, veteran journalist Jeff Gehrman set out to do just that for his job at the Las Vegas Review-Journal, where he'd revealed claims by current and former employees of a hostile work environment in this very office, fueled by Clark County Public Administrator Rob Tellis, now under investigation by police. An inappropriate relationship with a staffer was one allegation Gehrman exposed, as seen in the RJ this May. A public administrator is in charge of securing the property of people who die in Clark County. After Gehrman's findings were published in May, Tellis, a Democrat in his 40s, lost his re-election bid in June's primaries. He lashed out about Gehrman on his social media accounts. Tweets like these expressing frustration with the journalist for his findings. Gehrman's journalism career spanned 40 years in Las Vegas, including at the Las Vegas Sun and later the Review-Journal. Gehrman's reporting exposed corruption and crime and even led to big reforms and policy changes.
Always had the best interests of of citizens at heart.
Gehrman's former co-worker says his brave work inspired several instances of positive change in southern Nevada. Schumacher says he's angry about the 69-year-old's untimely death and hopes justice is restored.
It's just unbelievable that someone just kind of minding their own business on their own property could end up being murdered.
Now, typically throughout the day, this office would be open on a Wednesday, but Clark County has made sure to temporarily close the public administrator office while Tellez is being investigated by police. Now, we do know that Tellez is an elected leader, and we know that he was a longtime Las Vegas resident as well. Fox 5's Alexis Fernandez has more on who Tellez is.
Well, Maddie, 45-year-old Rob Tellez has been a resident for more than 20 years and has been involved with many organizations and has received awards for both his professional and community work. Tellez graduated from UNLV's Boyd School of Law in 2014. A year later, he founded Accolade Law, which focused on estate planning and probate matters. In 2018, he first ran for Clark County Public Administrator as a Democrat. He won and took office in 2019 to serve a 4-year term, which ends in 2023. His job was to act as executor for the affairs of someone who has died, who has no known or available relatives to serve as executors. Tellez lost his re-election this year to Democrat Rita Reed, the assistant public administrator. Reed said on her Facebook page that she ran against Tellez because he created a toxic work environment and engaged in questionable behavior with a female subordinate. Tellez responded on his Twitter page saying Reed was manufacturing scandals. Now, Tellez is married and has 3 children. We did reach out to the public administrator's office and we're told they have no comment at this time.
Even more activity now at the Piccoli Ranch neighborhood of Clark County Public Administrator Rob Tellez. We have now seen armed SWAT vehicles move in, the Bearcats as they call them, with armed SWAT officers inside. This is clearly an escalation now of just police surrounding the home, but now we are seeing a SWAT presence in the neighborhood as well.
Typically, those vehicles come out if there's a SWAT situation. We are waiting to hear from police what exactly is happening. Typically, these vehicles come about. You can see officers with long guns at this point readying themselves. They do this typically when someone is armed inside a home and there could be some danger.
Right, and they're complicating all of this is that Rob Tellez, they served a search warrant on him in the murder investigation of RJ reporter Jeff Gehrman. But complicating this now is Tellez does have a wife and kids. We don't know who's inside that home. We assume Tellez is inside the home because we saw him go inside at 2:30 this afternoon, and none of our reporters at the scene say they have not seen him leave.
We were inside this area. Now we're basically blocked off the road. Why don't we show them here? Police say because more tactical units are coming in, they have to move us out of the way. As you can see, just across the way, there's really no exit here. So the fire department's here, and we're going to go over a ladder, this fence right here. So we've taken our equipment. And the police department says this is all just for the safety of the investigation and the tactical team that is on the ground right now. Just in the last half hour, where our cars were parked, there was it's the end of a cul-de-sac, so the only way for us to get out, and police said we had to leave that way that more of the tactical units could get in, and also that our cameras weren't showing anything that they didn't want to be shown that could potentially put those people in danger. So we actually had to, fire department was here, we had to hop over a fence, and that's what leads us out here, where you can see basically the command center has been set up for police.
All right, a source has told Fox 5 that Clark County Public Administrator Rob Tellez is now in custody. This follows several hours. Police got out there about 4:30 this afternoon, surrounded his home, pushed reporters back several times to create a larger perimeter. And we saw at one point SWAT trucks in the area of this neighborhood. But we can tell you that Tellez, the Clark County Administrator, Public Administrator, who is leaving when his term comes up, has now been put into custody of Metro.
Tonight, this neighborhood is quiet. It was around 6:30 this evening when neighbors saw Tellis taken out on a stretcher and put into an ambulance. But all this started this morning, early in the morning, when a search warrant was executed on this home. Police swarmed in on the West Valley neighborhood and searched the home of Clark County Public Administrator Robert Tellis, connected to the death of investigative journalist Jeff Gehrman. Investigators honed in on the maroon GMC Denali in Tellis's driveway, taking fingerprints and marking it for evidence Wednesday morning. The car matches the description of the suspect vehicle Metro Police released Tuesday. The GMC towed away along with a silver four-door sedan. Fast forward to the afternoon, and Tellis returned home with no police in sight. Hours later, one police officer drove up and knocked on Tellis's front door. But no answer. And within minutes, more police units arrived and put up caution tape at each end of the street. By around 5 p.m., tactical units began to arrive. Several SWAT Bearcats moved in towards Tellis's street. At this point, journalists were asked to leave the neighborhood for safety. Blocked at a dead end, firefighters set up a ladder and we climbed over the fence. Minutes later, Tellis was taken into custody and driven away in an ambulance. Police have not released the extent of Tellis's injury or the specific charges against him. However, the sheriff is holding a press conference tomorrow morning. Reporting live, I'm Drew Andre, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.
Gehrman's employer, the Las Vegas Review-Journal, releasing this statement right after Tellis was taken into custody, saying, quote, "The arrest of Robert Tellis is at once an enormous relief and an outrage for the Review-Journal newsroom. We're relieved Robert Tellis is in custody and outraged a colleague appears to have been killed for reporting on an elected official."
The statement goes on to read, "Journalists cannot do the important work our communities require if they are afraid a presentation of facts could lead to violent retribution. We thank Las Vegas police for their urgency and hard work and for immediately recognizing the terrible significance of Jeff's killing."
And now, hopefully, the Review-Journal, the Gehrman family, and Jeff's many friends, they can begin the process of mourning and honoring a great man and a brave reporter. Godspeed, Jeff.
Breaking news right now at 2. I'm Regina on in for Joe Vigil. He stepped off the desk to interview the Clark County elected official facing murder charges in a journalist's death. Metro Police say Robert Tellis' DNA linked him to the stabbing of Jeff Gehrman. Tellis was reportedly upset about Gehrman's reporting on misconduct in his role of Clark County Public Administrator. Here's what Tellis told our Joe from the detention center.
And I think it's important for people to know that I'm not some, monster or someone who is just out to do evil. I'm a guy who's just trying to do his best every day, and I've made mistakes.
Tellis was also arrested in a 2020 domestic violence incident. Stay with us at Fox 5 News all afternoon as we dig deeper and get the answers you want to know.